It's my sanctuary. It's the one place I can let my guard down. It's where I can just kick back and be totally comfortable in my own skin. You know what I'm saying? It's where I can be myself. And that feels pretty darn good. Oh.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Stop what you're doing right now. We are in crisis because an extremely rich, multi-millionaire, privileged lady who's done nothing with her life other than have her husband become president of the United States in spite of having no experience in running this country into the ground, somehow still has a platform, even though it is failing, and is very sad about something. And so, again, all of us need to just stop and listen to her pain. And what is she saying now? She's saying that she can't sleep. Michelle Obama cannot sleep because of Donald Trump's deportations. Really? Well, we have some very interesting things to say about this. But first, Michelle Obama, have you ever taken a tour of your own massive mansion on a private island here in Martha's Vineyard? She has 30 acres that are seemingly unused by anyone. Look at all this beachfront property. Look, imagine how many tents and burn barrels we could put in here. How many food and soup stations we could put here for the criminal aliens? She's going to bitch and whinge that Trump's deporting aliens, yet she hasn't harbored any at her massive compound on a private island. Look at all this space. You could fit, I mean, I'm no expert at this, but you could fit 10,000 criminal aliens right here. I mean, if you really stacked them. You could drain the pool, make housing for them there. It's a lot, certainly not as deep as the Rio Grande, right? They'd love it. Of course, you could put them inside the mansion too. Look at these vaulted ceilings. You don't need that. Put cots everywhere. This is Michelle Obama, just one of Michelle Obama's palatial mansions. She has another one in Hawaii. Maybe criminal aliens swam to Hawaii. Look at this. They bulldozed a sacred turtle breeding ground. This is real. The native Hawaiians had their native grounds bulldozed because Barack Obama needed another mansion on a private island. And this is it. I mean, look at this place. Wow. Look at this. The Obamas have never once offered any of their multiple massive mansions to the criminal aliens. In fact, when criminal aliens were sent, just 50 of them were sent to Martha's Vineyard, it caused such a crisis that Democrats in Massachusetts demanded the National Guard be activated to deport them all. Massachusetts governor and administration activates 125 members of the state's National Guard to deport the criminal aliens, 50 Venezuelans that were sent to Martha's Vineyard. But now she's out here saying that Trump's deportations keep her up at night. I'm curious that, by the way, because, well, her husband deported 5 million criminal aliens. A little strange, isn't it? Barack Obama, her husband, deported 5.3 million criminal aliens. Donald Trump has deported a little over 100,000. Got to pump those numbers up. Let's check the tape here, shall we? Trump migrant deportation numbers compared to Obama and Biden. So this is going to look sad in comparison. Trump's just getting started. This is first term. You can see that given their terms here, that Barack Obama, which is represented right here, and Donald Trump, represented right here, had about the same number of removals. In total, across two terms, Obama saw 5.3 million people removed from the country. Most data is not available for the first 5 years of the Obama time in office, but the first year saw the largest number of total deportations at 1 million. Goodness. That's the number that Trump actually wants. Trump wants 1 million deportations in his first year. There you go. During Trump's first term, he oversaw 2.1 million removals. The highest monthly total came in at 91,000. Goodness. Wow. Got to pump those numbers up, right? But Michelle Obama's scared of Trump, you see. It's okay when we do it. Keeps me up at night. All right. Now let's listen to this drivel and whinging from Michelle Obama, crying and whining that the country's getting what they asked for instead of her and her husband rigging a third term for themselves in the form of Joe Biden. Here we go.
Couldn't be. We couldn't walk around saying valedictorian, straight A student, speaks excellent, has excellent diction if you give them a chance. Mm-hmm. We knew very early on that no one was going to see beyond the color of our skin at an early age. And that could get you in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about that fear, I'm sure that fear has been tested across your life in so many different places. And I wonder, what would you say has been the most hardest recent test of that fear? Because it's not one of those fears that you kind of get over and it just goes away. It kind of shows its head in many different ways, I imagine.
Well, in this current climate for me, it's, what's happening to immigrants, so it's not the fear for myself anymore. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama. I do still worry about my daughters in the world, even though they are somewhat recognizable. So my fears are for what I know is happening out there in streets all over the city. And now that we have leadership that is sort of indiscriminately determining who belongs and who doesn't, and we know that those decisions aren't being made with courts and with due process, and, that it's being made like this cop that pulled my brother over when he was 12. You don't look like somebody that belongs. I can determine just by looking at you that you're a good person or you're not a good person. And knowing that there's so much bias and so much racism and so much ignorance that fuels those kind of choices, I worry for people of color all over this country. And I don't know that we will have the advocates to protect everybody. And that frightens me. It keeps me up at night. And I know that I see that when I'm driving around LA, I'm just looking in the faces of folks who could be victim. And I'm wondering, how are you feeling? How do you feel standing on the bus stop? How do you feel comfortable going to work, going to school, when you know that there could be people out here judging you and who could upend your life in a second? That's who I worry for right now.
I'll never quite understand this, because none of these people, they're billionaires. Selena Gomez is a billionaire. Michelle Obama is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. None of these people ever cry for Americans when bad things happen to Americans, right? When criminal aliens kill, rape, and pillage Americans. They never cry. They never open up their homes. Selena Gomez has palatial estates all around the country. She's never opened up her home to any criminal alien. She lives in these places by herself, right? She's unmarried. Michelle Obama's never done it. But they'll definitely do this, right? They'll definitely do this. They'll tell you how oppressed they are and how sad they are, and they'll do literally nothing about it. Unlike President Trump, who actually complains about a problem, then goes and fixes it. So you got to respect that, right? Yeah. Michelle Obama says the deportation of criminal aliens keeps her up at night. Also, Michelle Obama is back to not being proud of her country, right? Because she needs power again. So it's time to say that America is racist. She says she loses sleep over the fact that there's so much bias, so much racism, and so much ignorance against people of color all over this country. There you go again. Right? Hit the button. Hit the button. The Obamas need power. Now America's racist again. People are so sick of that stuff. They're so sick of it, and they finally see through it. Beyonce can't sell tickets. Katy Perry is performing before empty stadiums. Taylor Swift is being trolled at the White House. Donald Trump is in power and ascendant. And ladies and gentlemen, we're done with these fakers. We're through with the virtue signaling from people who have absolutely no virtue. In case you're wondering about that, just remember, this is the view from Michelle Obama's mansion. Okay? Not a single criminal alien in sight. In fact, she called the National Guard when they were criminal aliens in her neck of the woods. You know what I mean? It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section. See ya.